Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. I'm Jenny Hensley, co-owner and effectiveness coach with Dynamics. Our goal is to help you have more effective meetings, accomplish real work in your meetings, and ultimately feel more productive so you can absolutely love your job. We do the Facebook Live because we do facilitating, coaching, professional development, and we felt like we could really help, and we heard from all of you that it could help to reach a larger audience, and we want to stop bad meetings. Since 71% of Americans say that they participate in ineffective or meaningless meetings, our goal is to stop bad meetings and help everyone be more productive. So today our topic is how to have shorter meetings, which I've never heard anybody complain about a meeting being too short, and to begin and end meetings on time. So it's all about time. Some of the things I'm going to share with you are things that we've talked about, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. So some of those previous items are have less items on your agenda. If you truly want to collaborate with your group and you really want to get meaningful feedback from them, the goal is to have 3 to 5 items with set processes where you're going to gather input and get balanced feedback from each person in the group, in your team. The easiest one to do is a turn and talk, where you pause, you have them turn and talk with a neighbor, and then they share their thoughts. This gives them an opportunity to vet their ideas, share their ideas, gives them an opportunity to practice, and then they're more likely to share out, and you don't get the Bueller, anyone feedback that you often get, or the blank stares and silence. The processes, and we have hundreds of these on our website, and I've shared some of them through Facebook and on these live sessions. The processes need to be specific to the process to what you want the group to accomplish. So it's very different if you're going to be gathering input versus the group is actually going to be making a recommendation or a decision. And also you need to know your group. So if your group struggles with staying on time, struggles with staying on task, or if, as we talked about in a previous session, you have a dominator, somebody who takes over the meeting and talks and everybody else gives up, you need to have processes that prepare you and help you deal with that up front. I was talking to, it was really interesting, a few of you this week about meetings and that you had, and you had these great dialogue going, but somebody just got off on a tangent and started going on and on and on and on, and you weren't sure exactly how to bring it back. Having a great process set up ahead of time is the cure for that every time. And what that means is you may have a tighter process, so a process that includes time. So if you know that your group struggles with this, or you know the topic is something that people are really going to want to get into, you set a timer when you're going around and sharing out. And everybody's going to share for a minute, or everybody's going to share for 2 minutes. And again, if you set a timer on your phone, if people, if you know that this is an issue and people won't stop talking. But setting the processes up in advance preloads you with a successful meeting, rather than, oh my gosh, this meeting has gotten away from me, everybody's going on and on all over the place, and trying to get it back is much more difficult. The next one is, if you are connected or care desperately about the outcome of the meeting, then you should not facilitate. We call this facilitator manipulation. So if you know the answer, if you know the decision, or you care desperately what that decision is, then you need to step aside and let somebody else facilitate, because facilitator manipulation is when you already know the answer and you're just guiding the group to the right answer, and people and groups and teams see through that every single time. So if you know the answer, don't bother pretending or having a fake process. Instead, just be honest with the group and tell them, you've made the decision, this is the decision and why. If you need input or want feedback, then get that. But if you don't want it, then don't put it on the agenda, because it just makes people frustrated and annoyed. So do not facilitate manipulate. The next thing is, well, and along with that, if I know we are outside facilitators, so if you can have an outside facilitator, that's great. But you can also just ask a colleague, somebody who isn't as tied to the outcome, to facilitate for you, or have somebody that is maybe not even in the department facilitate for you. But if you need to facilitate and you care, then you need to be really aware that you are honoring the process. And if it starts going in a way that you don't want it to go, that you have to be prepared to let that's going to happen and not try to pull it back to the way you want the decision to go. Finally, I think it's really important to have, when we're talking about keeping the meetings going, to have somebody to track time. So if you know that you get caught up in the meeting and you are not able to track time, then have somebody be the timekeeper. And for each agenda item, you should have an idea, a pretty good idea of how much time it's going to take. And people always underestimate when they're getting feedback and you're allowing people to really collaborate. People always underestimate how much time it's going to take. So that's why we say 3 to 5 agenda items. But if you know that you struggle with staying on task and staying on time, then have somebody keep time for you and give you a 5-minute warning. We're almost at the end of this, or let you know this time is up. If you still have work to do, you have a couple options. 1, you can say, we're going to talk about this at a future meeting. 2, you can ask the group for permission, say, we're going to spend 10 or 15 more minutes on this, which means that you may not get to another agenda item. So those are 2 ways to handle it if you feel like time is an issue. Finally, I wanted to talk about how to begin and end on time. This, you just have to. This is about respect. The minute that you wait 5 minutes, the next time you're waiting 10 minutes, the same people are late every time. They're more late because they know you're going to wait. And more importantly, the people that are there on time feel disrespected because they made the effort to get there on time and they were prepared, and you're sitting around waiting for someone who isn't there. So always start on time. Secondly, always end on time. Now the agenda is very, very important to you, and it's probably important to the people that are also in your group, but it's never as important. They set aside however much time. If you said 2 hours, they set aside 2 hours for that meeting and they're ready to be done. So you need to honor and respect that and end the meeting on time, or even better yet, end it early. Keep in mind that that if something isn't done, rushing it is not going to be the answer. So if you have 5 minutes left and you have a new agenda item, don't do it, because you're just going to end up rushing. It's going to be a bad process and a bad decision, and you're going to have to do it over anyway. So those are my tips. Please hashtag stop bad meetings. Please share this with the people that that plan your meetings if you think it'll be helpful. And if you're lucky enough to have this Sunday off, please enjoy every minute of it. Thanks, and have a great Sunday.